Hey gang, so today we're looking at the mix by MOT, M-O-T, MOT, right? MOT. This is the mix. This is like a rhythm, and yet it's not. What's different about the mix? I don't know. Let's find out. It's the mix by MOT. Let's go. Okay, here we have the mix by MOT. Now, this is a mechanical slider. It's got a kind of like a spinner, not really a spinner, but like a ratchet ring on the top. And it just kind of slides back and forth. This can also be adapted, and you can add a groove on top of it to give it this really big kind of extra stack. This particular one doesn't turn, doesn't do anything. It just slides back and forth and it spins. Now, the person who loaned this to me has asked that we tune it because there is a ball. I don't think it's symmetrical right now on these tracks. So we're going to add that in, and I am going to take this apart and show you how to do it. So first thing, you need this tool. This tool comes with the mix. And what is important about this tool are these two little tiny pieces on top, these two little squares, because they plug in to these little spaces on this center ring. Now you need that off to take the top off, and then everything comes out. So once you're in, you just want to hold, make sure you're holding that the coin on the top. Make sure you're holding it down so that you can spin off this little center button. So that comes out. Okay, once I have the proper bit, let's take off this center screw. Actually, I'll keep this closed while we're doing it. Okay, so you have to be really careful when you remove these parts, because there's a screw and there's this little kind of collar in here as well. So take that all out and lift this up carefully, because inside we have springs and balls. So this is all that's creating our little ratchet sound here. And that's it. So to put this back together, now this is kind of a tricky, these things are always a little challenging when you've got balls that go down and you've got springs that are kind of in the same part that you want to put down on it. You have to kind of do everything in reverse. So we're going to take the balls. Now, I'm not going to use these tweezers. These are too thin. I know right away I'm setting myself up for pain if I try to take it off with these, because the surface area of these are so small that it's just going to pinch the ball and it's going to go flying. Now, these ones are a little interesting too, because the spaces are different. There are like these biggest gaps are meant for you know, a little bit of noise, a little bit of movement, and then they get smaller as they go. And so the smaller the size, the less noise, because the less room there is for anything to move around. Still good. So I had to take that bearing out because I forgot the order of things. There we go. As much as I love doing these videos and taking things apart, it's always really tough to do this while looking through the screen of whatever you're recording with instead of just being able to put your face right over it. Okay, so anyway, so we have this back. Let's get this cap back in. And again, using this tool. Like, I know it doesn't look like a tool, but it is. There we go. Okay, so everything's back here. Okay. Works well, sounds nice. Okay, here's the second part. Now, to get into the track, it's a bit of a mystery until you realize that there is a small hole here. And while, yes, it's for a lanyard, it also lets you see through here. And when you do that, you pop off this cap and then you have access to the 2 screws that take this track right off. Okay. So I'll line this back up. It's always good to sort of reset, you know, like slide it back into its sort of default position before you start opening things up. All right. You gently lift off. And this is the magic. So, what do we have? We have this slide plate that pushes down into this track. Now, here's the thing. We've got balls. So there are balls underneath these magnets, and the balls are being pressed down. And you can see here what we have are some of these balls are for just ratcheting, and some just go in the non-ratchet track. So it still stops it when the ball reaches here. Everything kind of snaps together. But these middle ones don't have a lot of function, as you can see here. But we are going to add a ball and a spring to this outer track so that we have sort of like the same thing on both sides, because right now it's sort of asymmetrical. We've got one ball running in the track, like the outer track. We've got one ball running in the middle track, but we don't have a ball on this track. And then we also have a ball that catches here, and this ball catches on the back one. But again, we're not really worried about the inner tracks. They don't do a whole lot. So first, I want to see what kind of ball is already in there, because this comes with a lot of accessories. Okay, so if you can see that, this is just one of these white Teflon balls. So let's get our spring back. And inside the accessory kit, Got another. Now again, though, you know what? Wait, let me make sure. I looked at the wrong ball. Let me just make sure here. Yeah, it's the same. Always got to be sure. So the other thing too, though, is we are adding a fresh spring to kind of a setup that has been used for a little bit. So this spring may be weaker than this spring. And again, all these springs just push up against this flat lid. I would not recommend testing out your new setup, like with the ball and spring, before you actually screw everything back in. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. Now that one spring will and there you go, just magnetically the cap magnetically the cap pops back on. And again, when you're adding new springs and stuff, there is a like a break-in time. You know, like there's a break-in time where the new spring is going to be a little bit stiffer than the other springs in there. So you do have to give it a little bit to kind of get to that same level to break in or to wear in. But this is nice. This feels really good. And that is the mix by MOT. Thanks for watching, gang.